Glad you could join us. Now, scores of angry Guinean shop owners are threatening to burn down some shops owned by Nigerians along the Tiptoe Lane near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange in a perceived reprisal attack. About 30 shops at the Tiptoe Lane have been broken into and destroyed by persons the angry Guineans suspect are Nigerians. The furious businessmen accuse the suspected Nigerians of moves to take over their property. Chaos broke out among the two groups on that lane this morning. Here are excerpts from the scene.
About 30 of these shops owned by Ghanaians were broken into and destroyed this dawn by persons they claim are Nigerians. Now, these shop owners say that they believe these Nigerians are trying to take over their property. So they've also threatened to burn down their shops. Now, when I spoke to some of these Nigerian shop owners, they say they have no idea whatsoever what is happening, but they've also decided to close down their shops today to avoid being attacked by these angry Ghanaian shop owners.
I had a call from one of the guys around 5 a.m. that people are here destroying our properties. I said, what is going on? So I rushed. I didn't even bath. I didn't do anything. I rushed here only to come and see AMA sub-metro chief. I learned he's called Chief Alasan, with some men destroying our properties all over. With cell phones and laptops here, everything is gone. We asked what is happening, and we were told that we don't know. He couldn't tell us anything. He said he's rather here to protest. I said, if you are here to protect us, how come the people are destroying our tent? You are standing here. So in fact, we didn't allow him to go. We arrested him here, and then we called the authorities. But what is going? This thing started some months back. We reported this issue. We demonstrated against it. When they started this building, we were told that it was unlawful for them to put on the building over there. But we don't know. They've gone to bribe their way out. They've bribed all the people there, all the authorities involved.
Yeah, this morning I was in the house before somebody called me that I should come to Circle. What's the reason? They said some people are demolishing our shops. So if I don't come earlier, they will destroy all our properties and the goods. So I have to take motorbike and come. So when I got here, this is what I came to meet. They've broken all the metal door. They've broken my drawer. This is a drawer. Look at the drawer. They've broken the drawer. I have money inside. And my iPhone X, over 5 pieces, they have taken it. My glasses, they have taken everything. My laptop over here, they have taken it. You don't know who are they? I mean the person they are. Will you imagine that? So we tried calling the AMA boss. And when I came, I met him standing over there. He was saying that he is watching over the place, that nobody will take anything from here. Meanwhile, you brought the bus to come here. And before we could come here, ordered the bus to run away.
Joy News' Efwa Evans Chinwe also spoke to the MP.
I'm told that some people came to attempted to, if you like, demolish the shops around here. The motive behind it, I am yet to find out. I will conduct full-scale investigations quickly as a member of parliament, and I've asked the assembly member in the meantime to speak to the traders to calm down. Let me conduct the investigations, and then the outcome we will know how to handle. In the meantime, I want to unreservedly apologize to the traders on behalf of myself as a member of parliament for the area, and also on behalf of government, His Excellency, the President. And let me make this clear that our President believes in the creation of jobs for the good people of this country. Evidence of that is afforestation, youthful employment, which we have done so far. YEA, we have recruited close to about 20,000 people. Planting for fruit we have done. I can go on and on and on. And as you can see, we have introduced NAPCO, which is still trying to bring on board reduce graduate unemployment. So it is far-fetched, or let me rephrase that, it can never be true that under the administration of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we will attempt to make life uncomfortable for traders. If you recall, a few years back, I was standing right here, making sure that I protect the traders, and that I shall continue to do. I want to assure them, it's very unfortunate what has happened, but let me put it on record that there is no intention by my government.
Now, moving on, Dr. Mensa Otabil has broken a silence over his role in the collapse of Capital Bank. In a statement issued this morning, Dr. Otabil stated his long silence over the raging matter on all platforms is not an admission of guilt. Instead, it's been out of respect for the ongoing investigations into the bank's insolvency by the mandated state institutions. Among these processes, he said, he has availed himself to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to answer questions bordering on ongoing investigations. So what exactly did he say in his statement? Here we go. Now, he says, I accepted to be board chairman of Capital Bank in a bid to help strengthen a promising Ghanaian enterprise that had potential but also challenges. He says, I was excited about the prospect of a young man from a disadvantaged background who was daring to create opportunities and employment. Over here, it can be surmised that he's speaking of the CEO of Capital Bank. He says, my position was a non-executive role. I was therefore not involved in the day-to-day management and operations of the bank. Says some decisions made turned out well, while some did not turn out well as had been anticipated. As far as I can tell, everything was done with the best of intentions and the interest of various stakeholders in mind. My foremost concern, as has been the case over the past year, is for the well-being of those who lost their jobs and those who may have been adversely affected in any way as a result of these developments. As my heart goes out to them and to their dependents, I continue to pray for God's guidance and sustenance as they navigate the course of their lives. I have been invited by EOCO and I've submitted myself to their processes and answered all their questions faithfully. And finally, he says, as a believer in the rule of law, I will continue to cooperate with the mandated institutions of state as they complete their investigation. Well, now, we are learning about a systemic lack of independence which has been cited by an ex-staff of the defunct Capital Bank for its collapse last year. Samuel Ochre, who also worked at UT Bank, in his book, which draws lessons from the banking crisis, reveals that staff dissatisfaction was also a key factor which may have contributed to the collapse of the two institutions. He spoke to Mamavi Owusu-Abuaje on the AM show ahead of the launch of his book.
The objective to fund that informal sector may have been a noble objective, but the business model at its heart at the point was not sustainable. And that's the first point I make in the book. Because in banking, you take money from people who have and give it to people who do not have. So the focus at any point in time is you can give what you don't have. And so if I seek to give people irrespective of the fact that I do not have, then there is a problem. And so UT bent in giving loans to people who could not afford and people who ordinarily won't get it anywhere, broke its back in feeding or in funding the informal sector. But over time, loans were given to single entities which were not primarily the focus of the bank anymore. And so those were issues, and that is only one. That is to speak to technical business model. So that is one. The second issue you can talk about, which I emphasize in the book, is we've spoken a lot about corporate governance. But I guess there is a bigger message in that message of corporate governance, which is a lack of independence. People think and believe things for two reasons. One, the information we're all privy to, and our social cohesion. And so people I know tend to influence what I do, and which is called suggested thinking. So people will suggest to me, and I do things not necessarily because I believe them or think they are right. The second one is what kind of information I have. And so if I've been privy to a detail you don't have, I may take a certain action you don't have. But information is so targeted and sometimes biased such that people cannot make the accurate decisions, because I am only seeing a half-sided story. It's a one-sided story. And so in the process of trying to, people were only fed from one side of the story, not having looked at the totality of issues in making decisions, which is human, but these biases can be reduced.
Now, from that story, the Northern Region Police Command says it is yet to make any arrest 24 hours after a vigilante group affiliated with the governing New Patriotic Party (NPP) allegedly chased out the chief executive officer of the Tamale Teaching Hospital and locked up the office. The group, identified as Kandahar Boys, accused the chief executive, David Zawumia Kolbila, of mismanagement, corruption and nepotism. The Regional Security Council is currently meeting with Mr. Kolbila. Let's hear more.
When the incident happened, and they stayed back to attend to patients, and we want to thank them for demonstrating that high level of commitment to serving humanity. Apart from that, we have come here as a joint security committees, that is the Metropolitan Security Committee as well as the Regional Security Council, to reassure the working staff, from the doctors to nurses to cleaners, everybody in the hospital, that they should go about their normal duties. The security will maintain 24/7 security surveillance, constant one, to ensure that no person comes in to do anything to affect the work of the hospital. In fact, this problem has drawn our attention to the fact that there is the need for the teaching hospital, the CEO, together with the hospital staff, to identify some structures immediately so that the regional police command will liaise with them and will have a duty post in the teaching hospital, because it's a very sensitive institution. This is the highest tertiary institution we have, not only in Northern region, but in the 3 regions of the North. Aside that, we want to appeal to the hospital staff to remain very calm. Fortunately, we are here with the party. So the regional youth commander of the party will also speak. But for me, as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, we want to reassure them, and I want to make it very clear in no uncertain terms that the security will look for the perpetrators of the act, and the law will deal with them.
Let's go on the phone lines now and speak with our Northern Region correspondent, Martina Bugri, to help us understand the issues better. Because as we know, this is not the first time something like this has happened. Martina, what's the background to this development?
Before Dr. Akolbila took over, the then current chief executive was Prosper Akambo. He was moved out of his office in similar fashion. A youth group known as the New Patriots, yes, visited the hospital. His tenure hasn't ended yet, and they packed him out of the place so that Dr. Akolbila can take over. And this time around, another group has also gone to move him out with the excuse that he's not performing. And so this is actually not the first time. It's happened before, and it's happening again.
What were the reasons given for the first time this thing happened?
It was same allegations. He was mismanaging the hospital. He was running down the hospital, and he was an NDC man and making their party unpopular because they had just come in, and so he was running the hospital down so that they would say that the NPP was not performing. It was on similar issues that was raised, and they pushed him out.
Right. So this time round, what are we hearing from the authorities concerning these concerns that have been raised?
The minister and the RegSec and the Metro Security Council met with the CEO in camera before they spoke to us, and they assured that this is going to be the last time such a thing would happen. Because that the security has been tasked to ensure that they get to the bottom of it and the perpetrators brought to book. And he also assured the workers that a police post will be put up to ensure security 24 hours.
What was the demeanor of Dr. Kobila when you saw him?
He looked calm and okay.
Right, and thank you very much, Martina Bugri, for joining us. She's our Northern Region correspondent. We'll go to the other phone line, staying with the story, and speak with the Northern Regional Police PRO, ASP Yusuf Tanko. ASP Tanko, you still haven't made any arrests yet. Is this correct, and why?
Yeah, that is correct. We've not made an arrest yet, but we are trying to review the tapes that we have and get people to assist us with their proper identity and identification, so that afterwards we'll be able to make an arrest.
So you are in the process of identifying the people who were in the video you took?
Sure.
Right. And how far along have you gone with that? How many people have you identified that you are trying to find?
Yeah, for that, we have identified about 5 persons so far. That's 5 faces. But we need to put names and places to those faces, and then we'll move on them.
We understand you've found it a bit difficult contacting Dr. Kobila himself. Is this correct?
Yeah, we found it very difficult contacting him, but our understanding is that RESEC have led him to the office and he's working there. So we are sending a team of investigators to go to the office, take statements from him and any other relevant evidence that we need, so that it will help us in the exercise that we are doing.
Considering the fact that this is not the first time an incident of this sort has happened at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, what assurance can you give the public that this will be the last time this happens?
We cannot give an assurance to the public that this will be the last time. But the assurance that we can give is that if it reoccurs and eyewitnesses and people who are victims assist us in investigations, we will have the perpetrators prosecuted and to serve as an example for them and other people who would like to follow suit in future.
Is it the case that now the eyewitnesses are not assisting you or are refusing to assist you?
What we know is we've gone to the ground, we've tried to get people who assist us with the identities of the perpetrators, where they live, what they do. We've not been able to get that yet.
When you say you've not been able, can you clarify that for us? Does that mean that people are refusing to, or you are not identifying the people to help you?
Yeah, for yesterday when we went there, we spoke to people who said, yes, we saw the perpetrators, but we don't know them. So we are trying to see if we can get people who saw them and know them, or people who have seen the pictures and know them. You see, these pictures have been put on national TV, or these pictures have been put on TV. And so it is a responsibility of every law-abiding citizen that if he has any information on them that can assist the investigations, to run to the police with that particular information.
Right.
That notwithstanding, we are also getting close to people who might be able to help us with that, including the New Patriotic Party officials in the region.
You are getting close to them. Have you called any of them for questioning?
Yeah, it is in the hands of the investigators, and they are carrying it out.
ASP Tanko, respectfully, the Kandahar Boys is an organized group in Tamale. They have a recognized leadership. Have you at least reached out to these people?
What we know is the perpetrators are MPP, among the MPP youth, but we've not been able to ascertain whether they belong to the Kandahar or any other group.
Have you at least made contact with the Kandahar Boys?
Yes, I'm saying that we don't have any. Yesterday, for instance, the Kandahar issued, where I saw a statement that is purported to have come from them, distancing themselves from that incident. But what is important now is we have video and we have people there. So we are taking those to town to see if people can help us identify those faces in the video. After they have been identified and investigations link them to any group, then that group will also be looked at.
Thank you very much, ASP Tanko, for joining us. He's a public relations officer for the Northern Regional Police. So watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Daze. Still up ahead, we tell you about the man with that rare talent of producing trumpet sounds without the instrument itself, just with his mouth.
President of Ghana, Xavier is the only performer.
And later in sports, Federation of International Football Associations, FIFA, forbids Ghana from proceeding with the ongoing dissolution of the Ghana Football Association. Babatano will bring us the juice in this latest development. All that and more coming up. Thanks for staying with us. This is Joy News Today. Now, women as the Apelinga community in the Bongo district of the Upper East region have frequently exchanged blows or wrestled among themselves in the community or at the community borehole, sometimes resulting in serious injuries. This is because for a population of about 1,000 people, this one borehole is the only source of potable water. This has led to frequent overcrowding, often resulting in disagreements and fights over who is next in line to fetch the water. Upper East correspondent Albert Sori has more.
Here at the community borehole at Apelinga, these two women lock arms in fierce wrestling as two men struggle to stop them and the rest of the crowd appear unconcerned. They have all been here for hours, queuing to fetch water for domestic chores, but now there is a disagreement over whose turn it is to fetch the water. This was not the only fight within the 1 hour that Joy News was at the borehole.
And last, I came here and I and somebody fought. And because of the fighting, I was admitted in the hospital for about 3 days before I was discharged.
The community members here at Apelinga say disagreements and fights like these occur almost on a daily basis because this borehole is the only source of water for almost 1,000 people living in this area.
You can imagine how we are plenty here. I came here somewhere one about, and I'm still here, and I have to cook for the family. So by the time that I will finish fetching the water and get home, it will be late for me to cook.
Every day we are struggling because of the water. When we come to fetch water, we will delay here, and if we will turn back to home, we and our husband will fight because of delay. And if I give my baby to my her grandmother because of delay, she will cry.
We always struggle here to fetch water, and then some of us we do walk from a long distance to fetch water in this borehole, and this is the only borehole which is serving this community. So anytime we come here to fetch water, we have to struggle with our old men and our old ladies like that, and then students have to go to school late because of the congested nature of the borehole.
Due to one borehole that we have, if we normally come here to fetch water for our animals, it normally find it difficult for us because people are there struggling for water to drink, and you have to fetch for your animals. So here we don't have dam, so it made it difficult for us to get enough water for our animals. So it made our agriculture come down.
The queue at the borehole was formed all over again. But according to community members, queues do not help much when the crowd gets overwhelming.
You can walk from about 25 minutes before you get to this particular borehole. For that is a daily routine for our people in this particular community, because that's the only borehole.
The people in the borehole are too many, and always they have to come and fight. And sometimes if they didn't understand each other, they have to fight. And through the fight, we always come here to separate them, and then there's a lot of problems, always confusion.
Fluoride deposits in this area has made past efforts by government and non-governmental organizations to drill more boreholes unsuccessful. But the community members here believe if more vigorous efforts are made, more boreholes can be drilled for them.
Since we have this borehole, it's about 20 to 25 years now. and we never have any borehole again. We went to the Sambo a lot asking for this borehole, and always they will tell you it's not time. When the boreholes come, they will give you one. When the boreholes are on the way and all those things, but we are not able to get. And there was an NGO who came and also tried to give us a borehole here, but because the community is also large, it's not only the Apelna, but the community is a Kondwo, but we now divide into ourselves into three. So they came to give it the whole community one borehole. So we also see that even here they find it better small, so they send that borehole to another place where we are also better than them.
The only other source of water is this river not too far away from the borehole, but the people say they do not use this water because it is not clean. For now, it will be survival of the fittest at the borehole, perhaps until more boreholes are drilled. From Apelinga in the Bongo district of the Upper East region, Albert Sorry, Joy News.
Now, you may want to describe him as a walking trumpet, as he's able to imitate the sound of the musical instrument. 31-year-old Xavier Aqua makes money by imitating the sound at big events and uses the proceeds to pay his school fees and also cater for other expenses. Maxwell Agbagba caught up with him at Sakumono Beach.
I am at the Green Beach at Sakumono to meet Xavier Aqua. Xavier lives at Klagon, but usually comes here for rehearsals because of the serenity it provides. The man who comes from Alakble in the Volta region is some meters away, mimicking the trumpet sound of a popular Bobobo tune. Now seated on one of the boulders at the beach, Xavier tells me his gift is from God. Although he has commercialized his talent, he has restricted himself to gospel tunes in appreciation of the giver of the talent. He has been telling me how he uses the proceeds from his performances to pay fees at school.
I believe that what I'm doing, it's God, because you see, if not the voice that sounded in my ears, I wouldn't be able to discover this talent. And I believe it's the voice from God. And I believe that when God gives you something, you need to use the same thing to serve Him. So with this, I use the talent to minister in churches, to perform at programs like weddings, engagements, stage fashions. This is what I do to take care of myself. I do this to take care of my bills. Since I'm a student, I need to pay my fees and stuff. So I go for programs as they come, and I charge, and I use the returns to take care of my school fees and myself as well.
It is the 22nd annual conference of the Association of Medical Councils of Africa at the Royal Senchi Hotel. In attendance is the Vice President of Ghana. Xavier is the only performer, and as he does a rendition of one of Ghana's patriotic songs, both the local and international delegates take out their phones to capture the moment. Xavier, the trumpeter, has become the favorite of international event organizers as he is able to mimic 15 different anthems aside from the countless renditions of gospel songs he's capable of performing. He also plays at weddings, funerals, and churches.
It's now time for business with Odilia and Tiamwa. Stay with us.